We're going to talk about evolution versus creationism. First, what exactly is evolution? It's genetic change in a population of organisms through time. It can also refer to the natural history of life on Earth, or how life got started on Earth from non-life. Those all fall into the realm of evolution. And evolution is science. It involves natural explanations for things. What is creationism? It is a number of interpretations from one religion, Christianity. Also, Judaism falls into the same category, and Islam. So those all have the same kind of historical context. And essentially, creationism says God did it. But creationism can also refer to explanations about origins from other religions. It's not just Christianity and related religions. There are hundreds of religions around the world, and a lot of them have creation stories. They involve supernatural explanations, things that are not natural. As a result, they fall into categories that are not science. They should not be taught as science in the science classroom. Does that mean they are wrong? That depends on who you talk to. And as we'll see as we go, there are a lot of people that are religious that have no problem with evolution. So why should you understand evolution, what it is and how it works? First, you want to make an informed decision. Learn about it. Think about it for yourself. Make decisions for yourself. Don't let others tell you what to believe. For example, I was teaching about evolution a long time ago in one of my biology classes, and after one of those classes, a student walked up to me and handed me a newspaper article and said, "I didn't know I was supposed to believe in this." And the newspaper article said that the Pope at the time didn't have a problem with evolution. The Pope said that you can be a good Catholic and believe in evolution at the same time. No, don't let other people tell you what to believe. Learn about it and think about it, make that decision for yourself. And probably more relevant to those of you, many of you that are listening to this, you want to understand what evolution is and how it works so you can get good grades on your biology tests. Also, in the context of should you believe or disbelieve in evolution, if someone is religious, do they have to disbelieve in evolution? Look up online the Clergy Letter Project. This is a statement saying that evolution and religion are compatible. People that are religious can accept evolution. And it's been signed by 15,000 clergy so far. Mostly Christian clergy, ministers, preachers, bishops, good number of Jewish rabbis. And these are church leaders that say that evolution's okay. Evolution's compatible with Christianity or Judaism. So just because someone believes in their religion doesn't mean they have to disbelieve in evolution. But I've heard some religious people say these 15,000 clergy are wrong. We should not be accepting evolution. The only way you could be a good Christian is to believe in creationism, to believe that God created the universe and living things through supernatural processes. These church leaders are too busy running things to study the subject. They just don't understand enough about creationism versus evolution to reject evolution. They don't read and study the Bible enough every day. They're too busy running the church. So, again, not everybody accepts this. But there are a lot of clergy that say evolution's just fine. There are a lot of biologists and other scientists who accept evolution, and they're religious. They belong to different religions. So it kind of depends on who you talk to. But should you believe in creationism, religion? That's not a subject for this class. There are various types of creationism. There's young earth creationism, which essentially says that God created living things just a few thousand years ago and evolution is not okay. At first, this is what Charles Darwin believed in. And in his day, in England, in much of the Western world, that's what most people believed. There's also old earth creationism. God created the universe billions of years ago, but he supernaturally created life. Evolution's not okay. Then there's intelligent design. Some intelligence created some living things. Could be God, could be Allah, could be Brahman of the Hindu religion, could be the raven god of Alaskan Inuit religion, could be extraterrestrials, intelligent beings from another planet. But some intelligence created some life on Earth, some things on Earth. And the basic argument of intelligent design is some things can't be explained by evolution. But so far they haven't come up with good examples. There aren't any good examples of this. They've come up with some examples, but biologists and others can explain these examples, how they have natural explanations. And they also say that some evolution is okay. Bacteria can become resistant to antibiotics. Insects can become resistant to insecticides. But a lot of evolution is not okay. You can't have one biblical kind turning into another. But there's a problem. What exactly is a kind of organism? And there's no good explanation for that. Then there's deism, or theistic evolution. And that essentially says God got things started. He created the laws of nature, created the universe, or created a situation where the universe can come into existence. And then he pretty much let things run their own course. Maybe he interfered on occasion, he influenced things on occasion. And according to deism or theistic evolution, evolution's okay. And a lot of the founding fathers of the United States of America believed in this. And that's just one religion, Christianity. And Judaism They kind of have the same creationist beliefs, and Muslims, a lot of them believe in young earth creationism. Maybe there's some that believe in other variations of creationism. Mostly we hear about it in the context of Christianity, especially in the United States. But there are many, many other religions around the world and many other creation stories. Are they science? Are they offering natural explanations for how the universe and living things were formed? No. They all invoke, to one degree or another, supernatural explanations. So, should creationism be taught as science in the science class? Well, which version of creationism? Which religion? Well, if you choose one version of creationism and one religion, that violates the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States says that the government can't favor one religion over another. And if you make rules that say you have to teach one version of one religion's creationism over others as science in the science classroom, then that's violating the Constitution. You're favoring one religion over another. Is evolution a religion? I've heard that before. Well, what exactly is religion? Good simple definition. A religion is belief in and worship of the supernatural. Does evolution fall into that category? Biologists accept it. I don't think they really worship it. It's definitely not supernatural. So I would say no. Religion, more often than not, involves dogma. It's unchanging. You believe in this, and this is unchanging. Always it has been this way. Can't be changed. There's some sort of authority that you have to accept. A book or a leader. Does evolution fall into that category? Not at all. It is definitely changing. We change our knowledge of evolution as new things are discovered. And there are many books and many scientists now and in the past that had a lot of things to say about evolution. Some religious people might say, well, there's the dogma of Charles Darwin and on the origin of species, but no, it's just one book and one biologist. And when we discover new things about evolution, we add to it. So those various versions of creationism, are they science? Should they be taught as science in the science classroom? Science means a body of knowledge about natural things, increasing our knowledge about natural things. Are any of these versions of creationism discussions of natural things? No, they all invoke the supernatural. So they are not science and they do not belong in the science classroom, at least not as science. I've heard that evolution is only a theory. Well, that brings up a question. What exactly is a theory? Usually when I hear this, it's a non-scientist talking about a non-scientific explanation of a theory, and that's a guess or storytelling. That's not how that word theory is used by scientists. In science, theory means it's a natural explanation. It explains something. And a theory in science has been tested and supported many times and in many different ways. And it's been tested over and over again. It has a lot of evidence to back it up. There's a lot of support for it. And theories are always falsifiable. If new evidence is discovered, theories can be disproven. And in the same line of scientific explanations, a hypothesis is an idea that can be tested, or maybe it has been tested a few times. Hypotheses explain things. They are falsifiable. And quite often, I'm annoyed by CSI and other TV shows like that, that a body has been found and they gather some evidence about who killed that person, and they get to know that person and their suspects, and then they say, I have a theory about who killed this person. And no, they don't. They have a hypothesis, an idea that can be tested. And then they arrest that person and investigate them further and come up with either a stronger hypothesis, or they prove or disprove that that person committed murder. So when I hear on these crime shows, I have a theory that John Doe killed Jane Doe, I say, no, you don't. You have a hypothesis. There are also scientific speculations. Speculations are natural explanations for something that can't be tested. There's no way to test them yet. We might figure out a way to test them in the future, but right now, we can't test them. Some examples of speculations in evolution and other areas of science. How did life begin? We have a lot of natural explanations. We can talk about how it could have happened, but we don't really know, because it happened at the chemical level, and chemicals don't fossilize very well. What caused the Big Bang? The origin of the universe. What were conditions like before the Big Bang? We have no clue. That's an area of scientific speculation in astronomy. We have a number of thoughts, a number of natural explanations about that, but we really don't know. A scientific law is a mathematical theory. Usually it's a theory in physics or chemistry that can be explained mathematically. That's a scientific law. And quite often, evolutionary biologists and others will say evolution is not only a theory. It's a really strong theory. Some parts of it are fact, and evolution is actually better than fact. Well, what are facts? Facts are things that can be sensed. They can be measured, either directly or indirectly. Facts are the data that support hypotheses, theories, and laws. Facts are things that are truth or real. And the general concept of evolution is better than fact. It explains the facts. So getting back to that question earlier, is evolution only a theory? It has a lot of facts in it. It has a lot of theories in it. It has many hypotheses in it. And some speculations. As a general concept, That things change through time. Evolution's a fact. Yes, things change through time. Living things change through time. Populations do genetically change through time. That's a very specific biological definition of evolution. And using that definition of evolution, evolution is a fact. Can one species change into another? Yes, we've seen it. One species can change into another. That's another fact of evolution. And there's so much evidence to support other ideas about which this species turned into another species that in a lot of cases when we're talking about specific species, we accept those as fact also. So is it a fact, a theory, a hypothesis, or a speculation? Did chimpanzees and humans share a common ancestor? That is a scientific theory that has so much evidence to back it up, it is accepted as truth. Are birds actually dinosaurs? Again, they are so very, very similar to dinosaurs. Most taxonomists agree that yes, they are. This is a scientific theory that is accepted as truth. Did life begin near underwater volcanic vents? That would fall into the category of a scientific speculation. Could have. Don't really know if it did. Did mitochondria and chloroplasts, organelles inside of our cells, come from independently living bacteria? That is a scientific theory that has a lot of evidence to support it. For example, mitochondria and chloroplasts, they both have their own bacteria-like DNA and bacteria-like ribosomes. Can insects become resistant to insecticides? Yes, that is a fact. Can Staphylococcus aureus become resistant to antibiotics? Absolutely, that is a fact. A little bit about facts, theories, and speculations in science and evolutionary biology. And quite often the controversy comes because the general public don't really understand these terms and how science works. Now, a little bit about the history of creationism in the United States. Before the 1920s, there were a lot of laws around the United States that just outright banned the teaching of evolution. School districts and states enacted these laws and said, you can't do it. Then in the 1920s, a biology teacher and some lawyers and some others decided to challenge one of these laws. And they publicized that this teacher was going to teach evolution, and some others showed up to his classroom, and when he started teaching it, they said, nope, can't do that. And he was arrested and put on trial. And it was a really publicized trial, was written about in a lot of newspapers, and the proceedings were publicized. And Scopes, the school teacher, was found guilty of teaching evolution. And he was told he had to pay a fine, something like a fine of $50. But it turns out he didn't have to pay it because of a technicality. But this publicized creationism versus evolution. It got various ideas out to the public. It increased people's awareness of evolution and creationism and the controversy. But nothing changed. Then, in 1950, there was a big scare in the scientific world in the United States. The communist Russians The Soviet Union launched a satellite in orbit. They were ahead of the United States scientifically. We can't have that. We have to beat those evil commies. So you have how science was taught was revamped. Better textbooks were written. Those anti-evolution laws were struck down or ignored, and evolution was written about very extensively in science textbooks, especially at the high school level, and it was taught as a central idea in biology. Then, in the 1970s, various school boards and states enacted laws saying that if teachers taught about evolution, they also had to teach young Earth creationism as science, as an alternative to evolution. And a number of parents said, no, you can't do that. This is one interpretation of one religion, and you can't teach that as science to school kids. And in a number of cases, one of which I remember was in Louisiana, this was brought to trial, and judges said, no, that's unconstitutional, you can't do it. So the strategy of these anti-evolutionists evolved. In the 1980s, laws were enacted in various school boards and occasional state here and there that said teachers had to teach intelligent design alongside evolution. And the way they got around the Constitution is it's not one religion. They were saying some intelligence created some aspects of living things. Evolution can't explain everything. And this was taken to trial in 2005. Some parents said, no, this is a certain version of a certain religion. It's unconstitutional. We can't do that. And there was a trial in 2005, and the judge agreed that intelligent design is one interpretation of Christianity, and no, you can't teach it as science in the science classroom. First, it's not science, and second, it's favoring one religion over others. So now, anti-evolutionists have evolved again. They've changed their strategy, and laws are enacted in various states and school boards saying you have to teach the strengths and weaknesses of various scientific ideas, including evolution and some others that they mention. And you have to teach the problems with evolution. And some of the problems they bring up are real, some aren't, some are invented, and the goal is to undermine evolution, to make it seem as though it's a weaker idea than it actually is. And these laws allow the teaching of alternative explanations. So it allows the teacher or the school boards to say that you can teach various versions of creationism. These laws are rarely approved. Either they're just ignored when they're brought up for a vote by the state or the school board. Occasionally they are approved. The last I heard, Louisiana has such a law in its books. But even with or without these laws, even if teachers are told by the school board in high schools that they have to teach evolution, it's the main part of the curriculum, the biology curriculum, half of all public school teachers, especially in high school where mostly evolution is taught, they don't teach evolution. They don't teach it. They just ignore it because it's too controversial, or they just ignore the rules and teach creationism. So even they're supposed to teach evolution, half of all school teachers don't. And I heard from a parent in a nearby Georgia school district. She had a daughter in middle school. She noticed that the daughter's textbook has some paper clips in it. These paper clips were binding closed certain pages of the book. And the mother looked at the book, and the pages that were bound shut by these paper clips were about evolution. And she learned that the teacher was not teaching evolution. And it was middle school. I'm not sure what the school standards for evolution are in middle school. It's supposed to be taught in high school. I'm not sure about middle school. So she went to a school board meeting and asked them about this. And it was her turn to speak. She brought it up, and the school board said, "Nope, don't want to hear about it. Shut up." And then they moved on to other business. And when she left after the meeting, there was a preacher outside waiting for her with anti-evolution creationist literature. So even though this type of thing is not supposed to happen in school districts, it does. If someone is studying biology at Middle Georgia State University, they're working on their Bachelor of Science degree in biology, they have to take an evolution course. It's required. It's a 15-week course on evolution. And a lot of these people who are working on their BS in biology, they go on to become teachers, and perhaps this 15-week course will educate them about evolution, and it'll help solve these problems.